understanding negative thought patterns and why they matter. Your thoughts wield enormous power. They influence how you feel, how you act, and ultimately, the shape of your life. But what happens when those thoughts turn against you? Negative. Thought patterns can creep in subtly, weaving themselves into your daily routine and quietly draining your energy and confidence. If you've ever felt trapped by self-doubt, frustration, procrastination, or a sense of why does this always happen to me, you're not alone. You may be experiencing the unseen but very real grip of negative thinking. This post is your starting point for understanding what negative thought patterns are, why they matter, and how they can affect your mental health, personal growth, and overall well-being. By exploring this topic in depth, you'll begin to unravel the influence these mental habits have over your life and, more importantly, how to start regaining control. What are negative thought patterns? At their core, negative thought patterns are habitual ways of thinking that skew toward pessimism, harsh self-criticism, or chronic self-doubt. They're like deep grooves worn in a dirt road, automatic, familiar, and hard to veer away from once entrenched. Because these patterns can run in the background of your mind, you might not even be fully aware of them. Here are some common examples to help you recognize them. Catastrophizing, always imagining the worst outcome, even when it's highly unlikely. A small mistake at work suddenly means your reputation is ruined. Black and white, thinking seeing situations or yourself as either a total success or a complete failure with no room for mistakes or gray areas. For instance, missing one workout turns into "I'm not disciplined at all." Personalization, automatically blaming yourself for things beyond your control. Your friend seems upset, so you assume it's something you did. Mind reading, believing. You know what others are secretly thinking, usually assuming the worst? Like everyone thinks I'm incompetent? Labeling, attaching a negative label to yourself, such as "I'm lazy" or "I'm a loser," based on a single event. Filtering, focusing on the negative details of a situation and ignoring the positives. One piece of criticism outweighs a dozen compliments. Should statements, plagued by thoughts like "I should do better" or "I shouldn't make mistakes," which create guilt and anxiety. These mindsets often have roots in childhood experiences, societal expectations, or past trauma. Sometimes they emerge as a defense mechanism designed to protect us from disappointment or risk. But while these habits are common, they're far from harmless. Why do negative thought patterns matter? It's easy to dismiss occasional negative thoughts as just part of being human, and in moderation, they are. Everyone has off days or fleeting moments of worry. The real issue arises when negativity becomes a consistent pattern. Here's why. Breaking free from these cycles is crucial. 1. They impact your mental health. Negative thought patterns feed anxiety, depression, and chronic stress. Imagine a loop constantly whispering, "You're not good enough," or "Why do you even try?" Over time, these thoughts become your default lens. They pave the way for emotional pain, destroy confidence, and make everyday challenges feel insurmountable. Persistent negative thinking can lead to insomnia, irritability, and a sense of hopelessness. 2. They stunt personal growth. Progress becomes difficult when your own mind is your biggest saboteur. You into inaction, leading you to avoid new experiences, relationships, or opportunities, all out of fear of failing and rejection. For example, if you regularly think, "I'll never be able to do this," you probably won't even try, depriving yourself of new skills or rewarding experiences. This is how self-fulfilling prophecies take hold. 3. They harm relationships. Negativity doesn't just affect you. It impacts how you relate to others. If you assume others are judging or criticizing you, you might withdraw, become defensive, or lash out. A simple unanswered text sparks spirals of "they must be upset with me." This can cause misunderstandings, erode trust, and create unnecessary distance in even the closest relationships, for they diminish overall. Being thoughts and emotions don't operate in a vacuum, they're intimately connected with physical health. Chronic worry or self-criticism raises stress hormones, disrupts sleep, causes muscle tension and headaches, and can even lower your body's immune response. What happens in your mind eventually affects your body and your day-to-day experiences. Breaking free from negative thought patterns. The good news is that these patterns don't have to be permanent. The first, most vital step is awareness. Notice when you're caught in a negative loop. Don't judge yourself. Observe with curiosity. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Would I say this to a friend? Start with these actionable steps. Practice mindfulness. Spend a few minutes each day noticing your thoughts. Which ones are helpful? Which are harmful? Challenge automatic thoughts. When a negative thought appears, counter it with evidence to the contrary. Reframe. Instead of "I always fail." Try "sometimes things don't work out, but I can learn and try again." Seek support. Talk to friends, family, or a therapist. Sharing your internal struggles can bring new perspective and reduce isolation. Path forward. Negative thought patterns aren't set in stone. With awareness, compassion, and daily practice, you can loosen their grip and reshape your mental landscape. Doing so not only lifts your mood and builds resilience, but also opens up possibilities for deeper growth, stronger connections, and greater well-being. This is the beginning of your journey out of the mental ruts and into greater happiness. Every step, no matter how small, counts, and the power to change starts right now. With you recognizing the signs of negative thought patterns, your mind is like a constant flow of thoughts, influencing how you feel, act, and perceive the world. But what happens when that flow turns against you? Negative thought patterns can creep in unnoticed, shaping your moods and behavior in ways that leave you feeling stuck, drained, or overwhelmed. The key to breaking free from this cycle is recognizing the signs. In this post, we'll explore how emotional and physical cues like anxiety, irritability, simply feeling off, can act as red flags for negative thought patterns. We'll also look at the role recurring negative thoughts play in this process and give you relatable examples to guide your self-awareness. What are negative thought patterns? Before we look at how to recognize them, it's helpful to understand what negative thought patterns are. Simply put, they are habitual ways of thinking that lean toward pessimism, fear, or self-doubt. These patterns are often automatic, meaning you may not even realize they're happening. Over time, they can take a significant toll on your mental well-being and quality of life. One example of a negative thought pattern is catastrophizing, imagining the worst possible outcome in any situation, even when there's no evidence to support it. For instance, if a friend doesn't reply to a text message, you might jump to the conclusion that they're upset with you, even though they might simply be busy. This kind of thinking often triggers feelings of worry, self-blame, or sadness, emotional cues that signal negative thought patterns. Your emotions are one of the clearest indicators that your thinking may have turned negative, though it's not always easy to spot at first. Often, the signs are subtle and easy to dismiss as part of a bad day. Here are some common emotional cues to look for. 1. Persistent anxiety. Feeling anxious now and then is normal. But when it becomes a constant undercurrent, it's worth examining what's driving it. Negative thought patterns often fuel anxiety by creating a loop of what-if scenarios. For example, you might worry endlessly about failing a project at work because you keep telling yourself, "I'm not good enough." 2. Irritability. Do you find yourself becoming easily annoyed or short-tempered over minor issues? This could be a sign of underlying negative thinking. For instance, if you're stuck in self-critical thoughts, you might lash out when someone offers constructive feedback. Not because of what they said, but because of how you perceive it. 3. Feeling off without explanation. Sometimes negative thought patterns don't manifest as strong emotions, but as a general sense of unease or feeling disconnected from yourself. You might not know exactly why you feel this way, but the root cause could be hidden negative thoughts about yourself or your situation. Physical symptoms linked to negative thinking. Believe it or not, negative thought patterns can also show up physically. Because your mind and body are closely interconnected, repetitive negativity in your mind can translate into real, measurable symptoms. These include 1. Sleep problems. If negative thoughts keep spinning in your mind, they can disrupt your ability to relax and fall asleep. This can lead to insomnia or restless sleep, leaving you exhausted and more vulnerable to further negative thinking the next day. 2. Fatigue and low energy. Have you felt unusually tired even after a full night's sleep? That mental strain of constant worry, doubt, or self-criticism can physically wear you out, leaving you drained. 3. Physical tension. Your body often holds onto the stress caused by negative thinking. You may notice tightness in your shoulders, frequent headaches, or even gastrointestinal discomfort as a result of ongoing mental strain. Recognizing recurring negative thoughts. Recurring thoughts are a hallmark of negative thinking patterns. These are the ideas and beliefs that loop in your mind, reinforcing feelings of inadequacy, fear, or failure. Some examples include, I always mess things up. This black and white mindset ignores the truth that everyone makes mistakes and learns from them. Nobody likes me. This thought discounts positive interactions you've had and amplifies your fear of rejection. I'll never be good enough. This thought keeps you stuck in self-doubt, focusing on perceived flaws instead of celebrating your strengths. If one of these phrases or something similar feels familiar, it might be time to bring greater awareness to your thought patterns. Real life examples you can relate to help you better understand how these signs might show up in your day-to-day life. Here are a few examples. Scenario 1. You're working on a group project and someone critiques your idea. Instead of viewing their input as a chance to improve, you think, they must think I'm incompetent, and feel defensive or upset. Scenario 2. You're having a tough day and think, nothing good ever happens to me, even though you can recall plenty of good things from recent weeks. This thought sets the tone for continuing to feel down. Scenario 3. You overanalyze a social interaction, playing it in your head and convincing yourself you embarrassed yourself when, in all likelihood, the other person didn't notice it all. What to do next? Recognizing the signs of negative thought patterns is the first step toward change. Here's how you can start interrupting these patterns. Practice mindfulness. When you notice yourself feeling anxious, irritable, or off, pause. Ask yourself, what triggered this feeling? Is my thought based on fact, or is it an assumption? Challenge negative thoughts. Once you identify a recurring thought, challenge its validity. For example, if you think, I'm not good at anything, counter it by listing 3 things you've achieved recently. Share your feelings. Sometimes, confiding in a trusted friend or a mental health professional can provide a fresh perspective and help you break the cycle of negative thinking. Moving forward with awareness. Negative thought patterns don't develop overnight, and breaking them takes time and practice. The process starts with awareness, physicalizing the emotional, physical, and mental signs that negativity might be at work. By paying attention to these cues, you'll be better equipped to challenge and replace those patterns with healthier, It's more constructive ways of thinking. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all negative thoughts. Some degree of caution or reflection is normal and even necessary. Instead, aim to create balance in your mind and thoughts, one small step at a time. The more you practice, the freer you'll feel. Understanding the root causes of negative thought patterns. Negative thought patterns can feel like a maze with no way out loops of self-doubt, fear, or insecurity that can hold you back from living the life you want. But have you ever wondered where these thought patterns come from? Understanding their origins is a crucial step in breaking free and rewiring your mindset. From fear and insecurity to the lingering effects of past trauma, the root causes of negative thoughts often stem from deeply entrenched beliefs and past experiences. This blog will explore these origins and shed light on how they shape our reality, influence our behaviors, and impact our mental well-being. Why understanding the origins matters. Negative thought patterns don't arise overnight. They're often built over years, becoming automatic responses to life's challenges. By uncovering the reasons behind these patterns, you can gain insight into your inner world, create space for self-compassion, and begin the work of breaking free. When we understand the why behind our thoughts, it's easier to stop blaming ourselves for having them and start addressing the underlying causes. Whether rooted in fear, insecurity, or trauma, these patterns can be untangled, but only if we take the time to recognize and explore their origins. The foundations of negative thought patterns. Negative thought patterns often originate from several overlapping causes. Below we'll explore some of the most common roots and how they influence our minds. 1. Fear of failure and rejection. Fear is one of the most powerful drivers of negativity. Many people develop negative thought patterns as a form of protection against potential outcomes they find terrifying, like failing or being rejected. For example, childhood experiences. If you grew up in a highly critical environment, you may have internalized a fear of making mistakes or letting others down. It's manifesting as automatic thoughts like, "I'll never be good enough." Societal pressures, cultural ideals of success often push us to focus on where we fall short rather than what we've achieved. The fear of failing to meet these standards can lead to recurring self-criticism when fear dictates your thoughts. You may find yourself focusing on worst-case scenarios, staying stuck in old beliefs, and avoiding risks that could lead to personal growth. To insecurity and low self-esteem, a lack of confidence can fuel persistent negative thinking. If you struggle with self-worth, you may interpret challenges or setbacks as confirmations of your perceived inadequacy. Over time, this can morph into a cycle of self-doubt that feels impossible to escape. Internalized messages. This insecurity often begins with internalized messages from childhood or past relationships. For example, harsh criticism from a parent. Teacher or peer might have left you questioning your abilities or worth. Even subtle moments like being left out of a group or receiving disapproving looks can stay with you and shape your beliefs about yourself, comparing yourself to others. The comparison trap also plays a big role in shaping insecurity. Constantly measuring yourself against others can reinforce thoughts like, "I'll never be as successful, talented, or attractive as they are," creating an endless loop of negativity. 3. Past trauma. One of the most significant causes of negative thought patterns is past trauma. Painful or traumatic experiences leave a deep imprint on the brain and body, often altering how you perceive the world and yourself. Trauma survivors may experience hypervigilance, being constantly on edge, or assuming the worst in situations as a survival mechanism. Negative self-perceptions. Internalizing blame for what happened, leading to thoughts like, "I deserved it," or "I'm broken." Trust issues. Struggling to trust others can feed into negative assumptions about relationships or intentions. Trauma changes the way your brain processes information. It can make you more likely to focus on negative details, misjudge neutral situations as threatening, and stay locked in negative thought loops. 4. Learn behaviors from early environments. Many negative thought patterns are learned behaviors. How we think is heavily influenced by the people we grew up with and the environment we were exposed to. For example, having a parent who is overly critical or anxious might lead you to adopt their thought patterns as your own. Growing up in an environment where perfection was expected can leave you with an inner voice that assumes nothing you do is good enough, even well-intentioned. Caregivers can instill negative patterns without realizing it. For instance, parents who over-focused on your achievements rather than your efforts may unintentionally teach you to tie your self-worth directly to success. 5. Confirmation bias. Once negative thought patterns take root, the brain seeks out evidence to support them. This is called confirmation bias. For instance, if you believe you're bad at public speaking, you might focus exclusively on the one negative comment you received if several people praised you afterward. If you think others are critical of you, you might misinterpret. Neutral body language is disapproval. This bias reinforces negativity by filtering out positive or neutral information. Breaking free requires becoming aware of this mental trap and learning to challenge its assumptions, the web of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Every thought you have sparks a cascade of emotions and behaviors, creating a complex web that shapes your daily life. This interconnection is both fascinating and powerful. But when negativity takes hold, it can feel like an unbreakable cycle, where unhelpful thoughts fuel difficult emotions, which then drive unhealthy actions, reinforcing the original. Beliefs, the web of thoughts, emotions, behaviors, plays a critical role in how you respond to challenges and opportunities. The good news? By understanding this dynamic and how it operates, you can begin to rewrite the scripts in your mind. This post will explore the interplay between thoughts, feelings, and actions, providing actionable strategies for breaking the cycle of negativity and creating a healthier, more empowering mental environment. How thoughts influence emotions. Your thoughts are more than passing ideas. They're powerful triggers for emotional responses. Imagine this scenario. You're at work and your boss calls you in for an unexpected meeting. Your thought might jump to, "I must have done something wrong." Immediately, you begin to feel anxious and worried as your body reacts to the perceived threat. It's not the meeting itself that causes the anxiety, it's the thought behind it. Negative thoughts as emotional triggers. Certain thought patterns are especially prone to triggering difficult emotions. Common examples include catastrophizing, assuming the worst-case scenario in any situation, filtering, focusing only on negative details while ignoring the positive, mind reading, believing you know what others are thinking, often assuming judgment or criticism. These habits of thought activate emotional responses like fear, sadness, or frustration, influencing not just how you feel in the moment, but also how you behave. Relatable example: you're scrolling through social media and see a friend's success post. The thought, "I'll never achieve that," surfaces, sparking feelings of inadequacy. This emotional response might then lead you to disengage from your goals, reinforcing the belief that you're incapable. Recognizing this cycle is the first step in understanding how your thoughts shape your emotions, how thoughts and emotions drive behaviors. Thoughts and emotions don't just stay in your head. They inspire actions that can either help or hinder your progress. Negative thoughts and their accompanying emotions often lead to behaviors that reinforce negativity, creating a self-perpetuating feedback loop. The feedback loop in action. Here's how the feedback loop unfolds step by step. the thought aisle. Never be good enough, the emotion. You feel defeated and demotivated. The behavior. You avoid working on a challenging project because you assume you'll fail. The consequence. The avoidance reinforces the belief that you're not capable. Over time, this loop can cement unhelpful habits and make it harder to break free. The longer the cycle remains unchecked, the more natural the behavior feels, whether it's procrastinating, withdrawing from social situations, or giving up on personal goals. Real-life example. Imagine preparing for a presentation at work. If your thought is, "I'm terrible at public speaking," you might feel anxious and incapable. That emotion might lead you to spend more time worrying than preparing. When the presentation doesn't go as well as you hoped, it reinforces your original belief about your public speaking abilities. This loop can spiral, leading you to avoid public speaking opportunities in the future, limiting your growth and feeding negativity, breaking the cycle of negative patterns. The good news is that the thought-emotion-behavior cycle is a two-way street. Just as negative patterns reinforce themselves, positive shifts can create a ripple effect of growth and empowerment. Here's how to disrupt the feedback loop and steer it in a positive direction. 1. Identify the trigger thoughts. Self-awareness is the foundation for change. Start by paying attention to the recurring thoughts that set the cycle in motion. Reflect on common moments when negativity arises and ask yourself, what message am I sending myself in this situation? Actionable tip. Keep a thought journal. Whenever you feel stressed, anxious, or upset, jot down the situation, the thought you had, and how it made you feel. Over time, you'll notice patterns that can help you pinpoint your triggers. 2. Challenge negative assumptions. Once you're aware of your thoughts, question their validity. Are they based on fact or assumption? What's the evidence for and against them? Most negative thoughts are exaggerated or untrue, and challenging them can weaken their grip. Actionable tip. Use this process for a recurring negative thought. Write it down. Ask yourself, is this always true? Rewrite it with a more balanced or positive perspective. For example, I'm terrible at public speaking. Could become I might need more practice in public speaking, but I can improve with effort. 3. Practice emotion regulation, managing. Emotions effectively can prevent them from dictating your actions. Techniques like mindfulness, deep breathing, or physical activity can help you interrupt the emotional intensity sparked by negative thoughts. Actionable tip. When emotions feel overwhelming, try grounding techniques.
For instance, name 5 things.
You can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. This helps redirect your focus and diffuse heightened emotions. 4. Choose actions that align with your goals. Your behaviors, what you do or don't do, are a powerful way to challenge negative patterns and reinforce positive ones. Instead of allowing emotions like fear or doubt to dictate your actions, choose behaviors that support the life you want to create, even if they feel uncomfortable at first. Relatable example. Rather than avoiding a difficult task because you feel you might fail, break it into smaller, manageable steps and focus on completing just the first one. Each small win helps build momentum, which can shift your emotions and thoughts in a positive direction. 5. Build new. Positive thought loops. The ultimate goal isn't to avoid all negative thoughts. That's impossible and unnecessary. Instead, aim to create positive thought patterns that naturally reinforce empowering emotions and actions. Actionable. Tip. Spend a few minutes each day practicing gratitude. Write down 3 things you're grateful for and why. This simple habit trains your brain to focus on the positive, gradually weakening the negative loops. Final thoughts? The interplay between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors is at the core of human experience. While this web can sometimes tangle us in negativity, it also holds the potential for empowerment and transformation. Breaking free from negative cycles requires awareness, patience, and consistent effort. But every step you take toward recognizing and reshaping these patterns brings you closer to a life defined not by fears and doubts, but by confidence, growth, and possibility. Remember, change begins with a single decision to challenge the status quo. Start small, and over time, those small changes will lead to profound shifts in how you think, feel, and live. The web of your mental states is in your hands, and you have the power to weave something extraordinary, breaking free. Awareness as the first step. Your thoughts hold immense power over how you feel, act, and experience life. Yet not all thoughts are helpful or constructive. Negative thought patterns, if left unchecked, can keep you trapped in cycles of self-doubt, fear, and frustration. The good news? It is possible to break free. The first step in this transformative process is awareness, the ability to recognize and observe your thoughts without judgment. This blog will explore why self-awareness is critical in tackling negative thought patterns and provide actionable strategies to help you become more mindful of your internal dialogue. By taking this step, you can begin to replace unhealthy thinking with a more balanced and empowering mindset. Why? Self-awareness is the foundation of change. Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. It allows you to see what's been hiding in the shadows. When you're unaware of your thoughts, they operate on autopilot, shaping your emotions and actions without your conscious input. Negative thought patterns thrive in this state because they can repeat unchecked and unnoticed. By becoming aware of your thoughts, you recognize triggers that spark negativity, understand how these thoughts influence your emotions and behaviors, create the space to consciously challenge and reshape. Those patterns. Change begins with awareness, because you can't fix a problem you don't know exists. Once you see your thoughts for what they are, temporary, fluid, often based on assumptions, you gain the power to interrupt and redirect them. Practical tips to build self-awareness. Self-awareness isn't something you either have or don't have. It's a skill you develop over time with practice. Here are some effective ways to cultivate this mindset and start. Identifying your negative thought patterns. 1. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's a powerful way to observe your thoughts as they arise. It's helping you become more aware of recurring patterns. How to get started. Set aside quiet time daily. Even 10 minutes can make a difference. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. When thoughts arise, simply notice them without reacting or trying to push them away. Use guided meditations. Apps like Headspace or Calm offer resources specifically designed to build mindful. Engage in mindful activities. Activities like yoga, journaling, or even a slow walk in nature can provide opportunities for reflection and mental clarity. Over time, mindfulness helps you detach from your thoughts, enabling you to observe them without becoming overwhelmed by them too. Keep a thought. Journal writing is a powerful tool for self-awareness. By documenting your thoughts, you can uncover patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. How to do it? Track your emotions. At the end of each day, write down moments of significant emotion, whether positive or negative. What were you thinking? At the time, look for recurring themes. Are there certain thoughts or situations that trigger negativity? Label your thoughts. Assign categories to recurring thoughts, such as self-criticism, fear of failure, or worry about the future. Over time, a thought journal becomes a map of your inner world, revealing not only the patterns you need to address, but also the underlying causes behind them. 3. Pause and reflect. Most of us are so busy rushing through life that we rarely pause to notice what's happening in our minds. Building self-awareness requires slowing down and creating moments to check in with yourself. When to pause. During times of stress or overwhelm, ask yourself, what am I thinking about right now? Is this thought helping or hurting me? After an emotional reaction, reflect on the situation and identify the thoughts that triggered your feelings. During routine activities, whether you're commuting, doing chores, or preparing for bed, use the time to observe your thoughts without immediately reacting to them. Pauses create opportunities to disrupt negative loops. Even just a few seconds of reflection can retrain your brain to approach thoughts more mindfully. 4. Talk to yourself with curiosity, not judgment. Negative thought patterns often thrive because we judge ourselves harshly for having them. Instead of beating yourself up for recurring negativity, approach your thoughts with curiosity and compassion. Shift your inner dialogue. Replace "why am I so negative?" "what's causing me to feel this way?" Trade "I need to stop thinking this way" for "what's the belief behind this thought?" Respond to self-critical thoughts as you would to a friend, encouragingly and kindly. By treating yourself with understanding, you create an inner environment where awareness feels safe and constructive. Strategies to interrupt negative loops. Once you've cultivated self-awareness, the next step is using it to counter negative thought patterns in real time. Here's how you can interrupt and redirect your thoughts to create room for something more positive. 1. Reframe your thoughts. You can't always stop a negative thought from appearing, but you can challenge and reframe it. This means seeing the thought through a new, more balanced perspective. Example: negative thought. I always mess everything up. Reframe: I make mistakes sometimes, but I've also succeeded many times before. Reframing takes practice, but each time you challenge a negative thought, you weaken its hold and strengthen your ability to think positively. 2. Use thought stopping. When you notice yourself spiraling into negativity, use a thought-stopping technique to disrupt the cycle. Techniques to try: mentally say, stop every time a negative thought arises, and replace it with something neutral. Visualize the thought as a cloud floating by. Acknowledge it, but don't hold on to it. Use a physical anchor like snapping your fingers or squeezing a stress ball to redirect your focus. 3. Focus on gratitude. Gratitude is one of the simplest and most effective ways to shift your mindset. By focusing on what's good in your life, you crowd out space for negativity. How to practice? Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day, no matter how small. Reflect on moments in your life when things went well or exceeded your expectations. Say thank you more often. Expressing appreciation to others reinforces feelings of positivity. Gratitude helps you rewire your brain to notice the good amid challenges, making it a powerful tool for breaking negative loops. Final thoughts. Self-awareness is the starting point for any meaningful change. By learning to recognize your thoughts without judgment, you create the foundation for transforming negativity into empowerment. The process takes time and effort, but every moment you spend building awareness pays dividends in clarity, emotional balance, and personal growth. Remember, breaking free doesn't mean silencing every negative thought. It means giving yourself the power to choose how you respond. The first step is awareness, and with each small step forward, moving closer to a mindset that supports and uplifts you. Take that first step today. Pause, listen, and start the conversation with yourself. You're more empowered and intentional. You is waiting on the other side. Moving forward, replacing negativity with positivity. Your mindset is incredibly powerful. It shapes how you see the world. Tackle challenges and connect with others. If your thoughts lean negative, they can create a mental fog that clouds your actions and limits what you believe is possible. But the good news is, you can take charge of your mental narrative. By replacing negativity with positivity, you can open the door to a more fulfilling, empowered, and optimistic mindset. This blog will walk you through actionable strategies to reframe negative thoughts and cultivate positivity in your life. From practicing gratitude to using positive affirmations and focusing on your strengths. These techniques aim to help you shift your inner dialogue and build a more resilient outlook. Why replacing? Negativity is essential. Reframing negativity isn't about ignoring life's challenges or pretending everything is perfect. Instead, it's about taking a balanced view, acknowledging difficulties, while focusing on hope, opportunities, and solutions. Here's why this matters. Improves emotional well-being. Positive thinking is directly linked to lower levels of stress and higher levels of happiness. By shifting your focus to positive aspects, you can reduce feelings of anxiety and overwhelm, boosts resilience. A positive mindset doesn't erase setbacks, but gives you the strength to bounce back. When you view challenges as temporary or solvable, you're better equipped to persevere. Strengthens relationships. Positive thinking not only improves how you feel about yourself, but also how you engage with others. Optimism fosters empathy, understanding. Collaboration supports physical health. Research has shown that positivity can improve physical health by lowering stress levels, enhancing immune function, and even increasing lifespan. Building a positive mindset is a practice, not a quick fix. But with consistency, it becomes an integral part of how you think and act. Actionable strategies to replace negativity. Rewiring your mind to focus on positivity involves small, intentional habits that gradually reshape your thought patterns. Here are proven techniques to help you on this journey. 1. Practice. Gratitude daily. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to combat negativity. By focusing on what's good in your life, you can shift your perspective to one of abundance and possibility. How to cultivate gratitude. Start a gratitude journal. Write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. They don't have to be monumental, simple joys like a sunny day. A kind word or a favorite meal all count. Reflect before bed. Take a moment to mentally replay the day and focus on moments that made you smile or feel appreciated. Express thanks. Make it a habit to thank others, whether it's a heartfelt note or a quick thank you to someone who made your day better. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's present. It's enriching your outlook on life. 2. Use positive affirmations. Positive affirmations are powerful statements that challenge negativity and help you rewrite the mental scripts holding you back. They work by reinforcing an optimistic self-image and building confidence over time. Steps to create affirmations. Identify negative beliefs. Start by noticing recurring negative thoughts such as, "I'm not capable," or "I always fail." Turn them around. Reframe these beliefs into positive statements like, "I am capable and resilient," or "I learn and grow from my experiences." Repeat consistently. Say your affirmations aloud or write them down daily, particularly in the morning to set a positive tone for the day or before challenges to calm self-doubt. For affirmations to be effective, they need to feel authentic too. You. Start with small, believable shifts before expanding your affirmations to tackle bigger insecurities. 3. Focus on your strengths when negativity takes hold. It's easy to dwell on shortcomings and overlook your unique talents and accomplishments. Redirecting your focus to your strengths can help you regain confidence and see yourself in a more empowering light. How to identify and leverage strengths? Make a list. Write down your skills, talents, and past achievements. Ask friends or family for input. If you're struggling to identify them, set goals around strengths. Use your abilities as a foundation for setting personal or professional goals. For example, if you're great at problem solving, seek opportunities to take on challenges that benefit from this skill. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge even the smallest of successes to remind yourself of your capabilities. This habit reinforces a positive self-view and builds momentum toward future achievements. 4. Reframe. Negative situations. Not every situation is inherently positive, but there's nearly always room to find something constructive. Reframing involves interpreting a challenging situation in a way that minimizes negativity and identifies opportunities for growth. How to reframe? Ask different questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try, "What can I learn from this?" Focus on what you can control. Concentrate on actionable steps rather than dwelling on aspects you can't change. Use humor sometimes. Finding the lighter side of a situation can shift your perspective and make challenges seem less overwhelming. For example, if you're struggling with a missed opportunity, reframe it by considering what new doors it could open or the lessons you've gained. 5. Surround yourself with positivity. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your mindset. By intentionally surrounding yourself with positive influences, you can build an atmosphere that supports optimism and growth. Build a positive environment. Engage with supportive people. Spend time with individuals who encourage and uplift you. And minimize exposure to those who drain your energy or foster negativity. Consume positive content. Seek out books, podcasts, or social media accounts that focus on inspiration, mindfulness, or self-improvement. Create an uplifting space. Personalize your environment with colors, objects, or quotes that bring you joy and keep you motivated. Aligning your surroundings with your goals fosters an atmosphere where positive thinking comes naturally. 6. Invest in personal growth. Learning, growing. Give you the tools to challenge negativity and expand your sense of possibility. When you approach life as an opportunity for growth, negativity often loses its grip. Steps for growth. Pursue new skills, whether it's learning a language, taking up a hobby, or advancing your career. Acquiring new skills can boost confidence and open up doors for optimism. Reflect on progress. Acknowledge how far you've come and celebrate. Incremental improvements. This builds momentum for further growth. Set meaningful goals. Carefully aligning goals with values gives your efforts purpose, which can instill positivity and drive. Growth-oriented habits create a sense of empowerment, countering negativity with a focus on potential. Final thoughts. Replacing negativity with positivity is a process. It's not a quick fix. But every small, intentional step you take builds a stronger, more optimistic foundation for your life. Gratitude, affirmations, reframing, and focusing on your strengths are all tools to help rewrite the mental scripts holding you back. Remember, this isn't about avoiding hardship or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about empowering yourself to face them with confidence, resilience, and hope. Every small change you make contributes to a brighter, more fulfilling future where positivity becomes your default mindset. The best time to start shifting your outlook is now. Choose just one of these strategies today and commit to practicing it. Over time, the consistent practice of positivity will transform not only your mindset, but your life as a whole. The power is in your hands. Take the first step forward.